What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing, back with my original segment, Boxing Ego First Look, a tale of the tape series, a sneak peek, a preview of the fight before the fight. Now, one of the biggest fights for this year, Cinco de Mayo weekend, May 6th, it goes down in Las Vegas, T-Mobile Arena, courtesy of Golden Boy Promotions. The main event is Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I was born ready versus Fantastico. This is a big fight. Golden Boy, they put some recognizable names on the undercard. You got DIAZ Jr., who is fighting against another unbeaten talent, and that's Manuel TINO Avila. You also have MATTHYSSE on the undercard, David LEMIEUX, and it should be a good night of boxing. More importantly, it should be a big card and just bring a lot of spotlight and eyes to the sport of boxing. So I'm looking forward to this. I got to give the Boxing Ego First Look, tale of the tape. And this is a fight that could aptly be named Size Matters, because weight has a lot to do with this particular fight. Now, when Canelo and Chavez Jr., son of Mexican legend Julio Cesar Chavez, when they first started making some noise in the States, in America, people instantly pitted the two against each other. What would happen in an imaginary fight between Canelo and Chavez Jr.? Who's going to have the better career? What happens if they fight? But as their careers progressed, it seemed like they were going in different directions. Canelo came up a bit short versus Mayweather, and Chavez Jr. ended up going up and up. He went as high as light heavyweight and fought Andres from far, got stopped. So it looked like this fight would never happen for a variety of different reasons. It seemed like Chavez had outgrown the 160-pound division. At the time, Canelo wasn't ready to go up. He was fighting at like 155 catch weight. He made up the Canelo weight, as they call it. Fighting at 154 is the last fight versus Liam Smith. So out of nowhere, they started making headlines like they're in negotiations. And after his fight in December with Dominic Britch in Mexico, Chavez Jr., he fought Britch, won a decision off of an injury, off of a pretty long layoff, and post-fight he called out guys like Gennady Golovkin and also Canelo. And the two have actually called each other out in the past. Canelo even called out Chavez Jr. a long time ago, and it was post-fight. So a lot of people just shrugged their shoulders and didn't think much of it. But then we started hearing that they were negotiating, and people were saying this side, Canelo's side, was demanding too much, this and that. Fast forward to the future, they got it done. Now, it is happening at a catch weight of 164.5, but the reason size matters in this particular fight is because you have almost two polar opposite things going on. You have Canelo also coming off an injury. He injured his thumb in his last fight, a dominant performance in Texas. It was a packed house, 50,000 plus people, and he beat little known Liam Smith, but he was a WBO champion. That was at 154. I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Canelo and team decided, we got to move up after this. It's getting increasingly hard to make the weight, and they're moving up. So on one end, you have Canelo, who's jumping from 154 that he fought in his last fight with Liam Smith, and he's jumping all the way up to 164.5. That's 10.5 pounds. And if you know anything about weight jumps, sometimes it doesn't always help the fighter, because you're fighting guys who naturally rehydrate a bit more, or strong, or more durable. So we've seen fights like Kell Brook. He tried this radical jump and jumped up from welterweight to fight Gennady Golovkin at 160. He had a couple spots where he was shining, but ultimately he received an injury, and his eye socket, his orbital, that area was fractured or shattered, and his corner threw in the towel in the Golovkin fight, so he lost. Amir Khan did it with Canelo. He wanted to challenge himself coming off the Chris Algieri fight and a long layoff. He moved up to 155, no rehydration clause. He was doing good the first 4 rounds. He started to slow. Canelo's timing got better, his body worked, and by round 6 he was knocked out cold, right? So all these things kind of come into play, and you have to look at it. There have been people throughout boxing's history that have been successful with these radical weight jumps, where they're moving up a gang of pounds. Shane Mosley moved up 2 divisions, and he fought against Oscar De La Hoya. Sold out in Los Angeles, historic fight that led to a rematch, and he beat him. He beat De La Hoya both times, and Shane was a lightweight. You had Adrian the Problem, AB Broner, who moved up 2 weight classes. He was doing damage at 130, 135. He had beat Gavin Reese, and he moved up for bigger paydays and bigger opportunities. Fought Paulie Malignaggi. That fight was a bit tight, and he won a split decision. Some people thought he lost, some people thought he won, but the judges seen him do enough in the second half that they gave him the fight. But there have been people like Roberto Duran also moved up, fought Sugar Ray, so it's doable. But that's Canelo on his end. That's the task that he has to conquer. You can look at pure skills. Most people would say Canelo is the more skilled fighter out of the two. But again, weight matters. And then on the other side, you have Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who has always had trouble since he's really been a household name in America. He's had trouble making weight, being consistent, and being disciplined with his training camps. There's been recorded, documented episodes like the biggest fight of his career at the time against Sergio Maravilla Martinez. He didn't even look like he was taking it serious. He was waking up at 5 p.m. like a vampire, eating Fruity Pebbles cereal. His dad, a legend, a boxing legend, Mexican legend, right, was coaching him, even though he wasn't his trainer. Freddie Roach was at the time. His dad, Chavez Sr., was giving him advice like, hey, you have to do this, bow, bow. And he was trying to explain his approach, the approach that his son should take. And it looked like his son was dismissive, wasn't even really paying attention, right? Then he just hops in the swimming pool or something. And then later, after the Martinez bout, it was revealed that he had tested positive for marijuana in his system. So he had to serve a suspension and I believe pay a fine. So Chavez Jr. has not always been the model of consistency when it comes to his career. He's had ups and he's also had downs. Fights where, even the Martinez fight, he showed his grit in the 12th round, but up until that point he was losing 11 and a half rounds easy. Sergio was moving around, just pot-shotting him. You've seen Chavez Jr.'s face was breaking up, bruising, and he was being dominated until that 12th round. He caught him, I think, with the left hook and dropped Sergio Martinez, had him really badly hurt. But a lot of people expected that based on the size advantage. He looked massive next to Sergio Martinez. And again, you have a guy who's lacked discipline in the past, had trouble making weight, even to the point where he's weighed in naked, or he's had to make modifications from the contracted weight at the last minute because he can't make the weight. He fought from far out of catch weight, still couldn't make weight off of a long layoff, right? So on the opposite, Canelo's moving up double-digit pounds. You have Chavez Jr. who's had a problem making higher weights, and he's moving down. But on the flip side of that, Chavez Jr. looks more motivated than ever in this particular training camp. He really feels like Canelo can be his shot at redemption, if you will. He's enlisted the help of Hall of Fame trainer as soon as he retires, Nacho Beristain. He's probably most famous for training Juan Manuel Marquez and also Ricardo Finito Lopez. And Beristein's a hell of a trainer. So Chavez has bounced around from trainer to trainer. He's had Freddie Roach in his corner for certain fights. He's worked with Roberto Garcia and others. But now he's landed on Nacho Beristain. He pulled out the big guns for this particular fight. And he really feels he can beat Canelo. And for whatever reason, if you check his social media, if you check the videos I made in the past, he looks a lot more disciplined and dedicated to this fight. He believes he can knock out Canelo. He believes that Canelo hasn't seen someone who's going to complicate things as much as he has the ability to. And he might be right, because I personally cannot think of the last time where Canelo fought someone who was significantly bigger than him. Significantly. Right? There's Liam Smith and stuff like that, but Liam Smith didn't have elite level world experience. Win, lose, or draw, Chavez Jr. does have that. He's been in there with big punchers and former champions, the Marco Antonio Rubios. He sparred with Gennady Golovkin before. He sparred with Peter Quillen, my dude. Shout out to Kid Chocolate. He's been in the ring with Sergio Martinez, a Hall of Famer, right? He's had those fights. He's had big fights on HBO, Main Event, Brian Vera, things like that. So he's had big fight experience, unlike a Liam Smith, and he rehydrates to crazy proportions. So it's an interesting thing happening in this particular fight, and I can't wait to tune in on May 6th to see what happens and how it all unfolds, because to me, weight is the biggest issue. You got a guy who's moving up At first, when it came to fighting Golovkin, it didn't look like Canelo was in a rush to move up to 160. In fact, he even vacated his WBC belt at the time last year around September when it came time to negotiate with Golovkin. And he said, I'll move up when I'm ready. Here's the belt back. Just give it to Golovkin. And he ended up fighting Liam Smith. And then you had Chavez Jr., who has struggled to make even higher weights, and now he's coming down. So what is he going to look like on the scale? How is Canelo going to deal with the extra muscle? Canelo in his pictures, if you follow his social media, you'll see he's bulked up. His neck, he has that pit bull, Mike Tyson type of neck. He looks big. He's adding size to him. He looks massier. So this could be a gift or it could be a curse. It could be good. Some fighters are going to start off real strong at this added weight. Like, yeah, I didn't have to kill myself in training camp and I got to eat better. So they naturally feel stronger, but it could also hurt you because carrying that extra muscle, if you got a guy who's tough like a Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and you land your best shots that would hurt or stop guys at 154, and for some reason Chavez Jr. is durable enough and tough enough to persist even after that, and you're starting to gas out and he's starting to walk you down, it could get real interesting. Or you never know, Canelo could look phenomenal at this weight because he was killing himself to make weight. So weight is very important in this particular fact. Now let's take a look at the tail of the tape. Now, Mexican superstar Canelo Alvarez has a near perfect record. He has one loss, we all know, that was to Floyd Mayweather on the one card a few years ago. He was only 23, but he was a champion. He was undefeated and he lost to Floyd Mayweather. Easy work. Canelo's record is 48-1 and he has one draw. Chavez Jr. has a record of 52-1. Again, those two losses were to Andres Fonfara. He got stopped at light heavyweight by a very good Polish boxer, Fonfara, and then he also lost a mostly one-sided bout versus Sergio Maravilla Martinez of Argentina. Now, the age, another important factor. Canelo is the younger fighter. He is only 26, the tender age of 26. Chavez Jr., he's been around a little bit longer, age 31. And another very important statistic, this is why this fight is very interesting to me. Canelo, the shorter man, he's listed at 5'9", but I've seen him. He looks a little bit shorter than that, but that's what they have him listed at, 5'9", and Chavez Jr. is listed at 6'1". This fight is happening at the new Canelo weight, 164.5. This is a catch weight above middleweight. It's in between middleweight and super middleweight. This is the new Canelo weight, 164.5. That's what they agreed to. That's what Chavez Jr. has to drop down to make his last fight. First Dominic Bridge was at super middleweight, 168, and this fight for Canelo, he's moving up 10.5 pounds to meet this contracted weight. In addition, if Chavez Jr., who has struggled to make weight in the past, if he comes in any pound over, he will pay a fee. This is part of the contract. For every pound that he goes over this contracted weight, 164.5, it is reported that he owes $1 million. If he comes in 3 pounds heavier than the contracted weight, he owes $3 million. I'm not sure how much he's getting, but according to him, it was an 80-20 split. Canelo wanted everything his way, and he's not doing it for the money. So Chavez Jr. definitely needs to make weight, just because even though he doesn't need the money, no one wants to get deducted $2-3 million of your purse, especially if you felt you're getting a raw deal and you took whatever deal was available just for the opportunity. I mean, you guys prize fighting for a reason. You got to make weight. Plus, you don't want any excuses if you were to beat Canelo Alvarez. So if you come in heavy and have this marked advantage of 4 or 5 pounds, people say that's why you won, if you in fact win. So he wants to make weight. I think he has the right team. Nacho Beristain, no nonsense type of coach and trainer. He's also with Angel Mimo Heredia, who's been in the sport for a while, trained Juan Manuel Marquez in his historic victory over Pacquiao. He knocked Pacquiao out cold in the 6th round a couple years ago. So he has the right team around him. Again, the catch weight is 164.5. Another interesting statistic, Canelo, the shorter man, has the shorter arms. 70.5 inches for Canelo, and Chavez Jr. has the longer reach. He's the taller person. His reach is 73 inches. May 6th, it goes down, man. You have a solid card. You have a brand new arena, T-Mobile Arena. It should be a packed house. They said tickets are sold out, and this is a good fight. This is not only good for boxing, it's good for each fighter's career. It's a good legacy fight. It's good for just bragging rights of Mexico, who's the best. It puts me in the mindset. I'm not saying it will be the same type of fight. I'm not saying both fighters have the same exact skill set or temperament, but it puts me in the same frame of mind as Eric Morales versus Marco Antonio Barrera. And they gave us a trilogy of classic fights. If you guys have not seen it, go back and watch that. These two don't seem to like each other. Yes, they have pictures together in the past where they've been at certain events and caught up with each other and took pictures, but that was more for show, because as this fight happened and as it's unfolding, you get to hear their real thoughts about what they feel. Chavez Jr. kind of feels Canelo has been spoon-fed, and for lack of better words, he's a diva. He wants everything his way, and he had to sacrifice a lot just to make this fight happen. Canelo feels that Chavez Jr. is always talking about him behind his back. He's jealous, and when he sees him, it's always a different story, and it's all cordial. So this is going to be a good fight. Again, weight matters in this particular. You see Canelo, who's bulking up. You see Chavez Jr. is coming down. How is Chavez Jr. going to look on the scale? How is Canelo going to look with the extra weight, carrying this extra weight against a very durable person? Even though he's been stopped by from far, that was at light heavyweight versus a good boxer who was about his height and whatnot. And he almost quit in that fight. I want to say he quit more so than getting stopped, where he just absolutely couldn't continue. It looked like he mentally checked out of that particular fight off a long layoff. So that's very interesting to me how this fight's going to play out. I'm still not sure who I'm going to pick, but shout out to Golden Boy for making it. Shout out to the Warriors involved. Canelo, Saul, Canelo, Alvarez, and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I'm definitely tuning in. Make sure you like the video. Leave your fight predictions below. Let me know how much you think weight will matter in this fight, and also what you think of these Boxing Ego Tell of the Tape first look statistics. Drop all that in the comment section. Make sure you share the video. Like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.